let's get started here with our door round that we're going to make for fall. Now this stencil pack comes with two different things that you can use. You can either use the Hello Fall, that way with the pumpkins all the way around, or Hello Fall and it's got the little picket fence. I contemplated which one to use and decided that we were going to just use the one with the picket fence. I really like the mushroom and the ladybug that's on there, and that's what helped me make my decision. So anyway, right here we are going to put a stain on our board, and I chose to use this antique wax. I'm trying to use up products that I have that I don't use very often to get them off my shelves and stuff. Normally I would have probably just used a stain because I like to use the Men Wax color-based stain. But anyway, we went ahead and did both sides because, you know me, I'll say I'll do the other side and then all of a sudden I have 16 door hangers that I got to paint the back on. So I went ahead and did both right there. So got that good and dry. Now we want the crackle effect. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use good old Elmer's glue to do the crackle effect on this board. I'm trying to find my Mod Podge glue brush and I can't seem to find it. So we're going to have to pick out a new one to use. I don't know. Anyway, it ended up being downstairs. That brush that I'm using there is an old brush that I used to use, and it's a little stiff, but we got it. If you don't clean your brushes really good when you put glue on them, they will turn hard. And this particular brush right here, I was horrible about cleaning. I do a lot better now. What I use to clean my brush when I have the glue on there is I use the Dawn's Power Wash, and that seemed to work pretty good. Then every other week or so, I'll take a lot of my brushes down and put them in the sink and clean them with the Master's Touch brush and brush cleaner and conditioner. And that seems to help all my brushes that I use, but specifically the brushes that have the glue on them. So anyway, I'm just putting a generous coat of glue on there. I went all different directions, different thicknesses and stuff like that. I know they say you need to go the same way, same thickness and stuff like that, but I can't help myself. I just can't seem to leave it alone to be able to do that. Now here, you do want to try to go in one direction. Does it matter? It just changes the crackle a little bit and the direction that it crackles. Really, paint doesn't crackle in real life all the same way. So the fact that, you go different ways, I don't think matters. I don't think people notice it. I don't think anybody's going to walk up to your project and go, oh my gosh, look, she double went over that when she did the crackle. And so now look how weird it looks. I don't think people notice things like that. So anyway, and if they do, what do we say around here? Well, poop on them. We don't need them as friends, right? To nitpick our projects. So anyway, here I am. I'm going to dry this. It does take a couple minutes to get it dry, but you can start seeing the wonderful crackle coming through. It's hard to see on video, but I can see it with what I'm doing there. But it does take a few minutes to get it dried. I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to watch it dry. Watch paint dry, right? Okay, so here we are going really super fast. I wish I could dry things this fast, but I can't. But you can start seeing the crackle coming through. The dryer made me hot, so I had to take my hat off. So anyway, I'm just drying right here, but wait till you see the wonderful crackle effect that we have. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I love how that looks. It's got big crackle and little crackle, and I think that is mainly from the thickness of the glue that I put on there. Some places were thicker than others. Okay, so here we go. We're going to lay down our stencil. Now we're going to be using a bunch of different colors on our stencils and stuff like that. So I'm contemplating on what I want to do for my fence. My background's white, so it's not going to be a white picket fence. So we're going to use brown. So we're going to make it a brown picket fence. And I think I just used what's called real brown from Apple Barrel right there. And I do believe I end up changing my mind and going with burnt umber. But let's see. Now, some of the things you can do. You can tape off the places you don't want to stencil with, tape and stuff. I usually just use these cardboard pieces. It's cardstock that comes in between your stencils. Yeah, see, I decide that's just too light of a brown, especially grabbing some of the white, because the white, is still a little wet under there. So I liked the burnt umber a little bit better. But anyway, I just used the piece of cardboard to kind of block off where I don't want my paint to go. These pieces of cardstock come with your stencils. They come in between them. I just take a couple of them and cut them up and use them. Sometimes I need to use 2 or 3. Sometimes I need to use 1. I just grab them and use them. I have small ones and big ones. So anyway, that just helps me not go so crazy when I am stenciling to get it to areas that I don't want to get it in. Now, if I do get it in spots that I don't want it, it's not the end of the world. You can always stencil over the top of it with a different color. You can always, sand it off, start over if it's really that bad. But most of the time, when you go over a little bit like that, most people don't notice that. Now this board has like a trim around it, and I was trying to decide if the board trim should match the fence. I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do. What I ended up doing was I decided that I would just go around it with the brown because it is a board. And if we need to make it a little darker or a little lighter to make it stand out, we do. But I don't think we're going to need to. I think it's going to be perfect. So I'm just picking out the spots that the pickup fence is. Now when you're stenciling, you always want to use less is best. You want to always remember that. Less is best, and offload, offload, offload. You put paint on your brush, and then you want to offload it immediately. And so you have the least amount of paint on your brush that you possibly can. There's a lot more on your brush than you actually think there is. So you can always add a second coat if you don't quite get enough. Okay, and now you saw me hinge that up a little bit. Just hold your hand down and hinge that up so you can see where you're at. And here we go. We're going to start working on the sunflowers. First layer of color I'm going to put down is yellow. We're going to use multiple colors on these sunflowers to make them look 3D and really stand out and pop. So here I'm just using, I believe that's a golden yellow by Apple Barrel. The thicker your paint, also when you're stenciling, the better. Apple Barrel is usually a pretty thin paint, so you really, really want to make sure that you offload that paint really good so you don't have, your brush isn't super wet. It needs to be more dry. So here we go with that. I believe that's the, actually I'm not sure what color that is. I'd have to look. But anyway, okay, so now we're going to go in, do the centers of our sunflowers, and we're doing those, the darker brown, the burnt umber color. And then I'm kind of hitting just the points on the sunflowers just to give them a little bit extra look. But as you can see, those turned out really cute. I like how they turned out. Need a little more burnt umber here. And we're going to go in the bottom and hit that sunflower also. See, I grabbed a couple more of the pieces of cardstock here. Now, I believe right here I am, no, I'm sorry. Those are not sunflowers at the bottom. Those are pumpkins. I went ahead and went over those with the yellow too, just to add some dimension. So what I was doing there was the stems of the pumpkin. I was trying to decide if I wanted them to be green or if I wanted them to be brown. And I went over them with the brown, and they just kind of blended with the fence and stuff. So we're going to go in over, actually we're going to do the leaves first, but I do believe we go over the stems with the green a little bit too, just to give them a little more color and a little more dimension. So here I am just getting the leaves and the stems for the sunflowers green. Who loves sunflowers? I love doing projects with sunflowers, and I like the mini sunflowers, like to, do something. Here's where I'm doing the stems on the pumpkins. But I do like to, I I like the mini ones like in your garden, but the huge, gigantic sunflowers kind of creep me out a little bit because they're so big. I don't know. Maybe I feel like I'm a miniature something when I'm around them. I don't know. They just kind of creep me out a little bit. So anyway, so now here we go with some orange. And we're going to go over our pumpkins with the orange and get some orange on them. And I'm just kind of lightly hitting them, a little heavier in some spots than others, you know, because pumpkins aren't pure orange. They do have a little bit of other colors in there, like some greens and things like that. So that's what I did there. So now I'm looking at, I have a ladybug and I have a mushroom, and then we have our wording in the center. So here what I decided to do was to do my stem on my mushroom, and I kind of go around with a couple different colors doing the mushroom, the bottom part of it, and so, you know. Anyway, so here I'm going to grab this barn red. This barn red I think is the color that I'm going to use for my wording on here that says hello fall. Yes, that's what I ended up doing. It's funny how you can't remember what you did. And then I went ahead and went over my mushroom with that right there. So I was trying to decide if I liked that color or if I wanted it more of a brighter color. And then of course you have the underneath part of the mushroom too. So I wanted it a little bit different shade. So here I grab the bright red to go ahead and go over my ladybug here. But I do believe I end up going over the mushroom with the bright red also. So right here I hit that with a little bit brighter red, just to give it a little bit more dimension and stuff right there. Okay, so now I'm going to get my black out. And we are going to, can't remember what I was going to do. Oh, of course we needed to get the inside part of our ladybug there, you know, where her wings are red and then her body and her head and antennae are black. So that's what I got the black out for right there. I couldn't remember. So to get our cute little butterfly, or not butterflies, ladybug. I absolutely love ladybugs. I love mushrooms. So this is just perfect for our front door. I can't wait to get it hung up. Okay, so now on this stencil, what's kind of cool is then you move it over to this spot and it gives you the little dots. You just line that up with the ladybug so you can get the black dots on the little ladybug's cover right there. Well, here's our finished project. I think it turned out really, really cute. I love all of the crackle and the colors. I think it turned out wonderful. I used a strip of a bandana for the hanger for it and hung it on my door. Again, I want to thank Miss Mary from the Painted Peach for joining me in this collaboration for Stencil Sunday. The playlist link is up in my description. Make sure you go check everybody out in the playlist and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to get notifications and all that kind of stuff. Give us a thumbs up and a like. That helps our channels tremendously. And of course, if you're shopping Essential Stencil, make sure you use my code FUNKYJUNK, all one word, to save 10% at checkout. And that helps me and that helps you. Again, I appreciate you watching this video, and I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel. Thank you.